Hello everyone, welcome to Astrologer Sky. And when you are watching this, it is the time approaching the June solstice, sun moving into Cancer for astrologers. But not long ago, just the probably like 10 day and 10 day before, we have a full moon, and during that time, you may be heard about people talking about the major lunar standstill. So today's episode, I'm going to explain the astronomy behind these two phenomena about summer solstice and the major lunar standstill. And the people say, well, it is once every 18 years. So when you miss this time, you have to waiting for 18 years to see another one. Is that true? Or do we have a chance to see more? Okay, so let's begin. Well, to understand the phenomenon behind the so-called major lunar standstill and solstice, you probably should understand the how we observe the sky and the coordination of the sky using by astronomer and astrologer. Yes. So the first we should understand is that when we measure the sky, astrologer, we use the zodiac ecliptic, which is the sun's orbit. Okay. Well, indeed, we know that is the Earth's orbit, the sun. But when we see it from the Earth, we thinking about the sun orbit the Earth. So you probably already understood if there is a celestial sphere, like this. Then when we look from the Earth, the sky is like a global, and from our equator, we draw a line called the celestial equator. Okay, celestial equator. But as the Earth's rotation axis is tilted, okay, it's tilted. So when we see it from the sun, it would be like this, okay, it would be like this because this is sun's orbit. But if we put the equator in the center, then we will notice the half of the path of the sun is on the north hemisphere, and the half of it is in the south hemisphere. Okay, so there we have the sun, like in every March, it crosses the celestial equator and move toward to north. Okay, and then around June, like this moment, sun is projected on the most north part of it. This is the so-called June solstice, or in the north hemisphere, we used to call it summer solstice. And then by September, it come to another side, and then move downward. Okay, and then by the December, it come to here, this part. Okay, and then this is the December solstice. Sun for astrologer, sun move into Capricorn. Okay, sun move into Capricorn, and then after this day, it move back. I think most of us know this, understand this. But what's the difference? Okay, so this important is when we have the sun come to the June solstice. The ancient people, we used to call it a sun standstill. The sun stands still for 3 days. So summer solstice. Solstice means stand still. Okay. And then we have December solstice. Yeah, the sun again stand still for 3 days before it turn the direction. Okay, before it turn the direction. So this is why we use the word stand still with a solstice. Okay, but if we look at it from the kind of a global map, and the night sky, let me show you both. Okay. So when we look from our place, because the the Earth rotated and the rotated axis tilted. So when we look the pole star, it's not right on the top of our nose. So different latitude, I used to make a video talking about different latitude in North Hemisphere. We have the Polaris in a different altitude from the horizon. So for example, London, we have 52. So the Polaris is high above. But when we look like this, you will see, then we have the celestial equator. Okay, this is the sun's position around the March 21st and September 23rd. Okay, but let me go back. but also we have the summer time in the June 21st. Then we have the sun is a little bit more north, but in the winter for the north hemisphere, we have the sun a little bit south. Well, in the south hemisphere, this is a verse, okay? Okay, so in the December time, a little bit south. Okay, so now let's look. Because the sun's tilted, so it moved from the equator toward to north. The maximum is 23.4 north, where passed by Taiwan, south of China, India, well, Abu Dhabi, Algeria, and Mexico, okay, this area. But for the south, well, like I think is in the Australia, Queensland area, okay, Madagascar, okay, and Brazil and Chile. So this area is the tropical of Capricorn. Okay, so the reason we know it, that one thing we have to know why. Okay, as we orbit the sun, as the Earth orbit the sun, from the March, June, and the September, the Earth usually north pole face the sun. But when it comes to the September and September, November, December, the Earth uses the south pole face the sun. That's why from the March, June to the September, the North Hemisphere receive more sunlight. But vice versa, from September to December to January, is the South Hemisphere face the sun, South Hemisphere receive more sunlight. That's why we have season. And then if we look the astrological chart, this means the declination that we use to measure the sky. Well, I know some astrologer use declination and consider the planet in the same declination consider as conjunction. If one in south and one in north, for example, so if the sun in the 23.4 north of the declination and the moon in the 23.4 of the south declination, they are contra-parallel. So this is what we use. You will see in the chart and in the grill, sometimes you will see the little stripe that is the parallel and the contra-parallel. Okay, so this is the basic idea to understand the declination work in astrology. It also is when we observe the sky, when we see in the June, 21st of June, when the sun is most, north, and the December 21st of December, the sun is most south point. This is the summer solstice, winter solstice, June solstice, December solstice. Sun move in Cancer in the 21st of June. We call it June solstice, or in the North Hemisphere, we call it summer solstice. And the sun reached the 23.4 south. We call it December solstice, or in North Hemisphere, we call it winter solstice. For the people living in South Hemisphere, they will call it the summer solstice. Okay, well, now we have this idea. Now we can begin to understand what does a major lunar standstill mean. But before that, I have to explain something else. That is one thing we call it out of the bomb. Let me explain it with my software, okay? Well, most easy way to understand is using the graphic ephemeris. This is from SolarFire, great app. Okay, now we can see this is I use the 30 degree, 0 degree, 10 degree, 20 degrees, 30 degree from above. This is 0 degree, 10 degrees south, 20 degrees south. Okay, now we can see during the June, sun reached the 23.4, okay, 23.4, 2320, kind of 26, some 27-ish. This is the furthest position the sun can reach in a declination. Okay, when the sun reaches this point, we say the sun entered Cancer. All right, and then here by the December, we will see this point. Okay, 2326, and we say 20, or we can say 23.4 south. So by this point is the furthest south. The south is the point the sun can reach. Sun could move beyond this point position. But however, the planet can do it. For example, you see in this graphic, there is the moon line move more frequently because once a month. And at this moment, we have the moon can move beyond the sun. That's because, okay, normally the moon can move beyond the sun because the moon's orbit is even more tilted. Moon can reach 28 degrees north or 28 degrees south, and we are so lucky. At this moment. We have every month, moon will move to the 28 degree north and the south during its and when it reaches the maximum declination. And this is not a random event. This is happen very regularly every 18 years. We know it Metonic cycle, moon's cycle. Every 18.6 years, the moon will repeat. The new moon, full moon, and the declination moon's position will happen nearly the same time. So we understand this. Once we understand this, we can build up. The first things I talk about the out of bump. Okay, so when any planet, declination of any planet, move above this 23 degree 26 of north or 26 degrees south, we call it out of a bump. So yes, at this moment, we have very frequently, twice a month, moon is moved out of the bump. So how does this happen? As Earth tilted, I just show you, and we know the around the Cancer, when the sun reaches the Cancer, is on the top of its orbit, and is the top of a declination where he can reach. So as Earth tilted, the sun will move to here. When sun come to here, it will stay here and turn south. But the other planet, when they come to the end of Gemini or early Cancer or end of Sagittarius or Capricorn, it is very easy for them to go beyond that line because we follow the sun, but not really just limited by the sun. Okay, so the interpretation of out of a bump is usually being explained as the out of the sun's control. Now we can go to use your imagination, your creativity to think about what does that mean out of the sun's control, out of the authority's control, or out of our own control. So usually some astrologers talk about the out of bump planet as a wild horse. It is go beyond what normal people does. So if you have like an out of bump moon, your feeling, your emotion, or your imagination, you're connecting with other people, may be beyond other people's control or beyond yourself's control. If you have Venus or Mars when out of bump, then that would happen. Like, for example, Venus may be your sense of beauty, your art ability are beyond other people's control, or other people would not understand, like a wild horse. Okay, so this is the relationship between the declination and the outer bound, and it all defined by the sun's position at the 21st of June and the 21st of December on the declination. Okay, so this is very interesting. Now we can go to the major lunar standstill. As I just mentioned, at this moment, we are in the maximum lunar standstill period. That means every month the moon will go to the 28 degree, go beyond the 23.4. Moon will go to 28 degree north and coming down past the celestial equator, 0 degree celestial equator, and going down to 28 degrees south. Now, every month it will move like this. So we have the major lunar standstill, and as I mentioned about the 18 years cycle, Metonic cycle, every 18 years, the moon will repeat in the similar sign and the new moon, full moon phase, and the early declination. So let me show you another graphic. This is the graphic like what we see, but here I put around 20 years cycle. As we know, is the 18.6 years cycle. So this cycle was roughly beginning around 2015. Okay, you can see moon's declination during that time was only go to maybe like probably not above 19 degree, probably around the 18 degree north to the 18 degrees south. So this is kind of a minimum, okay? Even not cross the boundary or even not reach the boundary of the, the sun's solstice point, okay? So now we can see, but it's slowly increased, okay? It's slowly increased. And then when you see this part, the maximum part indeed is from 2024 to 2025. We have the moon every month reach the 28 degree north and the 28 degrees south. You can go even more precise. That is very interesting. Does this has any significance of the astrology? Well, I already explained the out of bound moon. Okay, I already explained during maybe this time moon is already starting to out of bound. Okay, so from the 2020 to probably 2029, we have the out of bound moon, and 2024, 2025 is the maximum. And then we can go to look more detail between 2024 and 2025, which year is the maximum. But before that, have you noticed when I talk about when the moon started to go out of bound is around March of 2020. And we all know during that time, because that was the global pandemic, COVID-19, was really a severe situation in the March 2020. So, well, does that have any significance in the mundane astrology? I believe yes. Well, as I'm a mundane astrologer, so I work with it. So that means the things are a little bit crazy, a little bit out of control during this moment. Well, this period will slowly coming down around the 2029. Okay. Now, what we talking about the lunar standstill? Why they say this is the once 18 months? Well, the media, they want to draw your attention, so they exaggerate it. So as I say, last year we also have major lunar standstill. So which one is the major lunar standstill? Which one is the maximum? I mean, well, we don't care. People doesn't really care because they were thinking about what does that mean, major lunar standstill, and why they make it fast. Well, as last time I've made an example about how high above the sky when the sun reached the solstice point, 21st of June. And in the North Hemisphere, that was the time the sun is in the midday, sun is high above the sky, right? But image, and I also explained, in the winter, around the December solstice, 21st of December, when the sun reached the southeast point of the Tropic of Capricorn, it will be lower in the sky. It will be lower in the sky. Okay, so what are the media talking about around the 9th of June, 10th of June, 11th of June? During that time, what they're talking about is the moon, the full moon, will appear in the lowest part of the sky when we look at it from the south hemisphere, especially if you are in north part of a north hemisphere, like I'm in London. If I see the moon, would be very, very close to horizon. If you go to maybe like Sweden or Moscow, that even really just right on horizon. But people who living around the tropical area probably not really going to notice that difference, because in the tropical area, okay, look, here is tropical area. this between these two lines is tropical area. If you are living in the tropical area, let me show you. Okay, suppose this is here is our horizon, and I point the North Pole to 50 degrees above there. So we will see the tropical of a Capricorn is here around horizon, and the tropic of Cancer is high above the horizon. But if I tilt the North Pole, tilt it to the 20 degree or the horizon, that is tropical area, so no pole star. It's just a 20 degree above horizon. You will have the tropical of the Cancer in one side of the celestial equator. Then you will have Capricorn line. Okay, likely still here. Okay, still very high, but still high above the sky. Still high above the sky. So this is what's going to happen. Okay, this is the when on the 11th of June, when moon in the end of Sagittarius, because it is also out of bump, and reach the maximum south declination that time. So the moon will look from the north hemisphere in the maybe like let's say 50 degree, will be just like here. Okay, will be just like his horizon will be just right above the horizon. This is why we invite everyone to go to look at moon that day, because the moon will be really, really on the horizon. Let me also show you with the app. Here I use the app, the Stellarium. So this is based on London. This line is celestial equator. Okay, this line is a celestial equator. And when we say 23 degree above here, okay, here would be the sun's position. If the sun is here, sun would be high above in the sky like this. But have you noticed here is the 5, 10, 15, 20. So here is a 20, nearly 24 degree here. Okay, so you will see the moon is a really, really low. Have you seen? Let me move here. You will see the moon is really low above the horizon. Okay, above the horizon. Let me move it much, much bigger. Okay, you will see 15 is a 20. Okay, so here is like a moon really reached 28, nearly 30. This is the maximum. This is the maximum of the moon reach the major lunar standstill on that day. Okay, so let me give you an example. If we go back to 2015, only I think around the 2nd of July, we have another full moon. And if we check that time, for example, using the stellarium, then we will see on that day, moon is not reach the 28 degree. 28 degrees is around something like 19 degree of declination south. Then moon is not that touch the horizon. Okay, moon is not that close to horizon. So let me compare. Okay, let me move it into the 2025. You will see the differences. All right, I move to the 10th of June 2025. You will see the same. I didn't move anything, but the moon is much lower from the from the sky, and it's very close to the horizon. So this is why the scientists are talking about the major lunar standstill, because for the astrologer, the 18.6 years cycle, and then from the 2015 moon is like started a new cycle, and then around the 2020 the moon start have the out of band, go beyond the 23.4 degree north or south, and then 2024 2025 it reach a maximum declination. So at this moment, every month the moon will go to 28 degree north, 28 degrees south, and then well, slightly from this point it will coming down. It will coming down again, and then it's 18 years. Next time we have to waiting for 18 years. Yes, let us use the astrology software to examine these major lunar standstill with the full moon situation, and to compare this year and the last year, the differences between the two. Okay, so first, if we use the software file, they have the graphic ephemeris, then we will see if we use it for the moon and the sun, and we check the last 2 years, the new moon and the full moon, then we will notice that the full moon between the May and the July in 2024 and the 2025 are go to extreme. Look, this one, especially this one in the I think the full moon in the 21st or 22nd of July is really come to the bottom. Okay, this must be 28 degrees south something. Then we check this year on the 11th of June. We will also have the full moon come to the maximum south declination. That's also 28 degree. That's because, as I mentioned before, the moon, when the sun is in the end of Gemini or the Cancer, the moon will come to the Capricorn. So the sun will be in one side of the the higher declination, and then the moon will go to the extreme as we are in the kind of a maximum declination of the moon at this moment, and moon is out of a band. So we will notice this. Now, if we use the software, we can examine what exactly declination degree moon was. Okay, so here I have the moon last year on the 2024 22nd of June, and if I click the list, then I will see that day moon is at 1 degree Capricorn 7 minutes, and the declination is 28 degree 21 minutes. 28 degree 21 minutes. Well, but let's check the this year. We have the moon at 11th of June, and what is the position? We have moon at 20 degrees Sagittarius, and again moon is at a 28 degrees south, but this time we only have the 28:05, so it's a little bit of 6 minutes shorter. So this year's full moon are not as last year was in a maximum, okay, but still is out of a band, and still is kind of yes, we can still count it as the major lunar standstill. Okay, early this year, I think the 2025, in the March, moon was reached the 28 degrees south and 44 minutes in the morning. That was really when moon really reached the southeast point in the 2025 of March, okay, 22nd of March. That day, moon really reached the lowest point of the south. That was a pretty interesting, okay, that was pretty interesting. So this is the astrology behind the lunar standstill. I hope you like it. And next week, we will have the Academy of Astrology monthly podcast. Monday and Max will join us. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.